I said something on a previous video that I've been rethinking ever since. I said I didn't think there was a script for retirement anymore, but I think I was wrong. I think there actually is a script, but I just rejected it. And I dismissed it so quickly that I didn't even realize it existed. And the more I think about it, the more I wonder if it's a Gen X thing and if other Gen X people feel the same way. Hi, my name is Lisa, and welcome to the channel. I am a Canadian grandma, and I retired 5 years ago. And like I said in an earlier video, I had said that there was no script for retirement. But as I was thinking about this, I thought, you know what? There actually is. And it was quite a bit more of a traditional model. We were expected to work hard our entire lives, stay loyal to one career. We would retire around the age of 65. We would have a quieter existence in our retirement. We would stay close to home. We would have our routines and pick up all those different hobbies. Retirement was kind of a time of winding down more than starting over. But what I realized is that my version of retirement was exactly the opposite. It was all about starting over. Back in 2021, I divorced. I downsized and moved out to Vancouver Island because I wanted to live by the ocean. So I wanted to be able to check off that bucket list. I wanted to travel. So I spent as much time as I could traveling to different countries. I started different online businesses, just trying to, put my fingers in a whole bunch of different opportunities and see which ones worked for me and developed a bunch of different skills. And eventually I came to starting a YouTube channel, which I'm absolutely loving. And thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed and written comments. I appreciate you more than I could possibly say. You have truly been a huge part of this second act. And speaking of second act, this is what I mean is that I saw right from the get-go that this retirement phase of mine was a second act. I call it, even on my channel, the solo second act. I didn't see it as the last chapter, as we traditionally would tend to see as our retirement phase of our lives. And when I look around, I'm looking at other people my age who are doing very similar things. They're not settling into a quiet existence. They're getting rid of everything. They're downsizing. They're renting so that they have less responsibility, and they're moving to different parts of the world. They want to try living in different countries. They are getting into RVs or van life even, and living all over the place just to have that sense of freedom that they didn't have before. They're starting new careers. They're starting new online businesses. They're going back to school to further their education. They're becoming creators. They're choosing flexibility and simplicity. And the last thing they're doing is being quiet. And I couldn't help but wonder, is this because retirement is changing as a whole? Is that because of us Gen Xers? We just have a different attitude about things? When I think about my upbringing, I grew up on a farm, but I know that even if you didn't grow up on a farm, being a Gen Xer meant you just grew up differently. We had responsibility very early. I had to look after a whole lot of farm animals. I know that my parents would take off like to Toronto to see my mom's family, and my brother and I would look after the entire farm ourselves. I know that by the time I was 12, I had a whole lot more responsibility than just doing my homework. I mean, we would come home from school, grab a snack, and then we were out doing chores. I also knew how to cook for a whole swack of people, bake pies, everything. Like I had a lot of skills, and we had to figure these things out on our own, right? There was no internet then in order to Google how to create a pie crust. And we were expected to contribute. We were expected to grow up, to be independent, to be resilient, and to be self-reliant. We knew that we needed to look after ourselves. And maybe it's because of this upbringing that in my retirement facing it solo. Are there some scary moments? Absolutely. But do I know I'll be okay because I'm going to figure this out? Absolutely. And I think this applies to both genders, but I think I'm going to go a step further and say this really applies to Gen X women. I see it a lot. Could be my algorithm, I don't know. But I just see a lot of Gen X women saying, I matter too. And they are seeing this time of retirement as an opportunity to finally live differently. After years of sacrifice, of taking care of other people, of putting their needs last, they're finally saying, you know what? It's my time. And I am going to make decisions that are for creating the life that I want. They feel like they are finally are building a life in which they have control over every decision, all the way from what am I going to eat for breakfast to where am I going to live. But I think Gen X as a whole, we see retirement differently psychologically. Instead of this old model of it's our final chapter, it's a time to slow down, it's a time to step aside and let the young whippersnappers come in. We're going, no, man, I still got a lot of gas in the tank. It's just that I want to go down a different path. So I'm going to reinvent myself. I'm going to redesign the way my life looks. This is not my final chapter, it's my second act. We see freedom as just a huge priority. I can't tell you how many times I've referred to the word freedom in this channel. And I also mentioned the word adaptability and how it to me is one of the biggest traits that we need to have in order to have a successful retirement. And I think that fits in really well with the concept of us Gen Xers because we had to learn how to be independent and fix things, be adaptable to new situations. And this is us being adaptable. This is us saying, you know what? This is a chance for us to change the course of our lives and create it in the way that we want it to look. And we have that flexibility in order to be able to do so. So I think this is why in the previous model or the previous script that I said didn't exist, I think I was wrong. But I think previous generations often saw retirement as the reward at the end of all of those years of hard work. But Gen X today, they seem more interested in retirement as an opportunity for reinvention. And I know, like for us, our commercial was Freedom 55, baby. Were always aiming for 55. My kids, I have two millennial boys. I can't help but notice their Freedom 55 is now Freedom 45. So they're really changing the mindset again about what retirement is all about and what it could look like. And I'm excited for them. So, what do you think? Am I right? Is retirement, the concept, the way retirement looks, really kind of changing because Gen X is now in the driver's seat here, and we're so used to not following the rules that we kind of just flipped the script on what retirement was supposed to look like, and we're now reinventing it as well as reinventing ourselves? What are your thoughts on that? I'd be really curious to hear about what you think, especially as a Gen Xer, in the comments. And if you enjoy this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up and maybe even subscribing because it does help channels like mine. And in the meantime, have a wonderful day.